We are only 21 days away from the beginning of the college football season. Austin Peay in Western Kentucky kick us off on August 27th, followed by Nebraska versus Northwestern, Idaho State versus UNLV. A lot of games that we don't necessarily care about, and they're small, minus Nebraska versus Northwestern, a Big Ten matchup, and me being high on Nebraska, I think that that's an important game to gauge how good of a team they are. But it's the beginning of college football nonetheless. You're going to see some Big Ten teams play. Nebraska, Northwestern, Illinois all have games on week 0. So I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited for Michigan football. I'm excited for myself as a student finally being able to go in the big house in the student section and watch Michigan take on Colorado State, then Hawaii, then UConn. Not a whole lot of competition, but I'm still excited to go to a bunch of Michigan home games this season and watch my team play. And fall camp just began a few days ago, and that's what I mainly wanted to talk about today, is some questions for fall camp. I'm going to read an article by GBM Wolverine from Fansided, talk about the QB battle as well, because I think that the quarterback battle is something that is very important, and it's something that I don't think is going to be a big detriment if someone starts over someone else, for example. I think Michigan has two great options there. My 11-1 regular season prediction for the Michigan Wolverines is not dependent on who wins at the QB battle. You plug in Cade McNamara over J.J. McCarthy, and I think McCarthy is going to end up winning the job, but if you plug in McNamara over him, it's still 11-1, and I think the offense can still function and still have more of an explosive, evolved passing element with McNamara back there. You're not going to have the same athletic ability, the same legs, the same ability to do read options and all of that stuff, but McNamara has proven at times last year that he can throw the ball, that he does have arm talent. He's not the fancy dual threat kind of guy that J.J. McCarthy is, and he wasn't a 5-star talent out of high school, but he was a high 4-star talent out of high school. He knows how to take care of the ball. As long as you give him a decent supporting cast and have a good plan, he will get the job done. And like in the Orange Bowl against Georgia, yeah, he didn't play the greatest, but his supporting cast failed him. And when your supporting cast fails you as a quarterback, often you do fail at times. And Georgia had one of the most talented defenses that we have ever seen in the history of college football. So I'm going to talk about the quarterback battle, talk about other position battles at wide receiver, talk about the offensive line, talk about the front seven and such, and we're just going to talk some Michigan football today. But before we get into that, if you're new to this channel, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and comment your thoughts and your questions for Michigan football as they are participating in fall camp down below. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure to follow the channel. We're first and foremost going to talk about overall questions, and then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of the QB battle. So the first question, which we're going to get into more so later, but why is there a QB battle and who wins? The question of why there is there a QB battle might come across as confusing, because J.J. McCarthy being the talent he is and seeing what he was last year, Michigan fans may be questioning, well, why shouldn't there be a QB battle? Why are you asking this question? And others who aren't Michigan fans might be asking the same thing. Well, the answer is that sometimes you got to go with what works in a certain sense. Look at Stetson Bennett at Georgia. Does he have the most physical talent out of all of the QBs on his roster, which include 5-star Brock Vandagriff, high 4-star now Gunnar Stockton, and 4-star Carson Beck? Do you think that he has do you think he has a higher ceiling than all of those guys? I don't necessarily know if Stetson Bennett does, and he probably doesn't, but he's intelligent. He knows what he's doing. Last year, he had the third highest QB rating in the country. Yeah, he's more of a system QB and probably doesn't have the upside that some of those other guys do, but he just won Georgia a national title. And Cade McNamara just became the first Michigan QB since Denard Robinson to beat Ohio State, and the first Michigan QB to beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten, beat a ranked Ohio State team and win the Big Ten since John Navarre, which John Navarre has been out of football for a while and now has a good job and now is living a life and a life outside of football. So it has been a while. It has been a while since Michigan has had a QB who has brought it consistent success, and Cade McNamara is that, bringing Michigan success in 2021, trying to help Michigan rally as a team in 2020 when things were going bad. And there is a reason to question why there is even a QB battle going on, because Cade McNamara, if you just protected him as the starter, I don't think that would hold Michigan back as much as others might believe. I think that, hey, McCarthy does have some upside, and that's why I personally don't necessarily have a problem with the competition going on, per se, because I think McCarthy has some upside, and I think that the upside he has, as long as he doesn't take too many risks and has learned from some of his turnover-prone plays last year, if you can mitigate the risks of McCarthy, it's absolutely worth starting him because of his higher upside. But we don't know if he has mitigated those risks yet, if he has developed into a QB where he has higher upside, but he's moved past his, I guess, what you would say freshman mistakes, like his mistakes that cost us the game against Michigan State with the 2 fumbles, and against Indiana, he didn't play too well. He didn't see action in the Penn State game, probably for a reason, because, yeah, it was just such a close game. And then in the Ohio State game, you saw him mainly in run situations, and he made one singular pass. So Cade is the safer option. Cade is a known. Cade is also a good quarterback. I'm not going to say that he is average or above average. He is a good quarterback. And J.J. McCarthy has the potential to be a great, maybe near elite quarterback, but he also has the potential with his more risky play style and the unknown behind him to also hold Michigan back. So the QB battle is something that's interesting. I've spent a lot of time talking about it already, and I'm going to go back to it at the end of the video. Another question is, will Michigan's offensive scheme evolve? And this can tie into the QB battle part, but it doesn't have to. Will Michigan move to more of a passing offense this year? And this question actually ties in with several of them. The offensive line has the potential to be superior to last year's unit. You have playmakers at wide receiver like Darius Clemens, Andrell Anthony, Cornelius Johnson returns, and he's listed by some as high on some 2023 NFL draft boards. Roman Wilson is good. Ronnie Bell, if he's completely healthy and recovers from his injury, could be a really good wide receiver. So with the star raw talent on Michigan's offense, will the scheme evolve? That's a question that I don't necessarily have an answer for. I think it's going to be more pass-oriented regardless of who starts at QB, but I think you're still going to see that run-heavy element, especially with the returning production at offensive line, tight end, Blake Corum returns, and I think that Michigan's offensive scheme will evolve, but within the parameters of Jim Harbaugh's football schematics, if that makes sense. How will Michigan's front seven reload and adapt is perhaps another deep question. And it's a question that I don't necessarily know myself if I have an answer for. Because Aidan Hutchinson, Christopher Hinton, David Ojabo, there's another D tackle whose name escapes me, but all 4 of the defensive linemen, and you could also count 3 because Ojabo was, linebacker edge hybrid, they're all gone. And Josh Ross at linebacker also left. So Michigan's front 7 has been devastated by departing players. And the current projected starters up front are Mike Morris as the defensive end, Mozzie Smith and Chris Jenkins as the tackles, Jalen Harrell as the other edge player, Junior Colson and Nakai Hill-Green as the linebackers. So, yeah, I mean, the front seven here, and then I guarantee you'll see Braden McGregor, you'll see Mason Graham, you'll see Taylor Upshaw, maybe Michael Barrett, and Kalel Mullings at points. There probably will be rotations up there, especially at the beginning of the year, to just see who steps up. And I don't know if Michigan's front seven will reload. I'm actually doubtful of that in the pass rush attack. The run threat, though, or at least stopping the threat of the run, pardon me, that's an area that can significantly improve. I think that Michigan's front seven will probably be better at stopping the run, that they'll learn their lesson from last year where they allowed Penn State to run over them at times, a team who couldn't run the football, and when they let Michigan State dominate them on the ground. But that pass rush element, you cannot replace Aidan Hutchinson and David Ojabo. You can't do it. You just can't do it. And I mean, Michigan's not recruiting at the level of Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State in that regard. So it's even harder and more unlikely for Michigan to do it than in Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State. And even then, as you've seen with Ohio State, they haven't had a Chase Young or Bosa brother type player in over 2 years. Not everyone can reload year after year after year after year. It's almost impossible. So Michigan's front seven and their defense overall is going to have to adapt, especially in that pass rush element. Can the offensive line be superior to last year's unit? The offensive line returns Ryan Hayes. It returns their two guards whose names briefly escape me. I can actually quickly look here. Trevor Keegan and Zach Zinter. Those are names that I know. For some reason, they just briefly escaped me. But they returned three guys who started last year on the offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award. You also have Alu Oluwatimi coming in from Virginia, who was a finalist for the Remington Award, and Trente Jones is likely going to be your starter at right tackle. This unit, with its returning production and bringing in a player who had All-American honors, has the potential to be better than last year's offensive line. Better, especially at running the football, as Alu Oluwatimi was one of the highest-ranked centers, according to PFF, in run blocking. So I'm excited for the offensive line play. I'm also excited to get into the next question and see what players can step up at wide receiver. Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, Ronnie Bell, Mike Sanderstill, AJ Henning, Andrell Anthony, Darius Clemens. All of those names, all of those guys are probably going to see the field at some point, and they're going to make some plays, and they're going to be good wide receivers. Michigan's wide receiver room is a very underrated wide receiver room, and I can't wait to see how it turns out. And really all of these questions, except for the one on defense, and I think the one on defense you're going to see you're not going to see quickly because of the cupcake competition Michigan plays, but I think you'll see in Kinnick Stadium against an explosive offense that is Maryland, how the defense functions. The offense, I don't know how the offense will probably be most tested in the Iowa game against that solid defense. Michigan's defense, I think their first test is legitimately against Maryland. You know, Michigan taking a step back in that pass rush, while Maryland is taking a big step forward in their pass attack with their return at offensive line, wide receiver, and quarterback Talia Tagovailoa. But most of those questions were revolving around Michigan's offense because the offense returns the most, but under Harbaugh, the offense has never really been the theme of a Michigan team. And it's going to have to be the theme of this year's team if Michigan wants to win the Big Ten and reach the playoff again, because the defense they lose so much. They lost a generational edge rush duo in Aidan Hutchinson and David Ojabo. They lost first-round pick Daxton Hill. They lost both of their defensive tackles and such. So a lot of these questions revolve around the offense. What can Michigan do on offense in regards to their returning production? The QB battle as the quarterback and offensive line, I think, are the two most important positions on offense. The QB battle really intrigues me, and I want to go into that for a few minutes here. You have Cade McNamara, a guy who most just list as an average game manager, and you have J.J. McCarthy, who most list as, you know, this great generational talented QB. It's not that simple, though. It really is not that simple. And I was just listing those two generalizations about the two QBs because that's what I hear a lot of the time from Michigan fans and even from other fan bases. Really, both of these guys are good to great quarterbacks. They're both solid. Cade McNamara leans more toward a game manager, more of a pro-style guy. J.J. McCarthy leans more toward the explosive dual threat guy, and each of those come with their risks. Both of them do. Cade McNamara outdid J.J. McCarthy by a lot in ESPN QB rating. Cade McNamara was 24th in that category, a top 25 QB according to ESPN by QBR. J.J. McCarthy, since he's not a starter, wasn't given a rank, but he was given a 62, which definitely puts him outside of the top 25, probably puts him outside of the top 50. I'm pretty confident in that. And that, I think most of that was because of just some of the risk-taking that J.J. McCarthy would take that wouldn't always end well. The Michigan State game, for example, J.J. McCarthy had a quarterback rating of 0.2. He had a passer rating of 205. He only made 4 attempts, completed 3 of them. 1 was for a touchdown, but the 2 fumbles. What I like about QBR is they take into account like mistakes that you make outside of the passing game, which passer rating doesn't exactly do that. Cade McNamara, his passer rating wasn't as impressive, and you can see that J.J. McCarthy, when they're put in safe situations, J.J. McCarthy has the better arm, has the better playmaking ability. But put them in situations where the game is on the line, honestly, where the game is on the line, and Cade has been the only one that's been out there when the game is on the line, and Cade has made plays when the game is on the line. Yes, he's a game manager, but he is able to, see outside of the game plan at times and hit Eric All for that on that mesh route against Penn State and won the Penn State game. Kept Michigan going, and if Michigan lost that game, it wouldn't have mattered if they beat Ohio State. Ohio State would have still went to Indianapolis. Cade McNamara passed for 2,576 yards last year, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. J.J. McCarthy passed for 516 yards for 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I don't think Michigan can go wrong here at all, and I don't like it when my fellow Wolverine fans, the best term is hate on. They hate on Cade McNamara, and it doesn't make sense to me. I get that Cade McNamara has a strong run game. He has a strong O-line. He has a strong tight end room. And this year, if he starts, and he'll likely see some playing time action, he'll have a stronger wide receiver room. But why hate on him? What has he done to put Michigan in hard positions? Nothing. Every game where Cade McNamara has made a mistake, it is often because the other parts of the team have made, mistakes and such. And that's the case for most games, period, amen. So maybe that's a moot point. But Cade McNamara is, he provides an element of safety. He also provides an element of being good with passing the ball. He's able to make some deep throws and make some accurate NFL type throws. And maybe that sounds ridiculous to some of you, but watch the games. He has an arm. He can utilize his arm. He can make great decisions. He can make game-winning decisions. And J.J. McCarthy, he can do the same thing. I imagine with QB coach Matt Weiss teaching him and with him learning from Cade McNamara that J.J. McCarthy, if he learns from Cade and if he's taught at sometimes that it's just better to manage a game, but also, still taught and mentored and developed in his explosive capabilities, absolutely, it will be worth starting him because he has that higher ceiling, more explosiveness, so on and so forth. But J.J. McCarthy is honestly more turnover prone, more mistake prone at times. Sometimes he tries too hard to make a play, and that can cost you. Cade McNamara, on the other hand, doesn't have the same exact talent ceiling, but he knows what he's doing. I'm pretty confident to say if Cade McNamara isn't more talented than J.J. McCarthy, he is certainly a better leader. Just look at in 2020, trying to help his team rally. Look at this year in 2021. Cade is a guy who accepts responsibility for his mistakes. He took blame for the Michigan State loss when in reality, evidence, film, statistics really prove that it was probably Michigan's staff and their defense that lost them that game, not Cade. Cade made one mistake in that game, which was and the mistake was actually caused by an amazing play by Charles Brantley, who wasn't good for the rest of the year. So, Cade McNamara, J.J. McCarthy, I would say pick your candy at this point. If you're a Michigan fan, you can't go wrong with either. You can't. They both have the potential to bring Michigan a 12-0 season, and I'm saying that with complete confidence. They can both do their job. They can both make plays. They can do what it takes to bring Michigan that 12-0 season. What I don't want to see, in a certain sense, is what happened last year. If JJ wins the job, I don't know how you're going to work Cade in there at all, and I wouldn't necessarily want to see the staff even try to work him in there. If Cade starts this year, I don't even honestly know if I want to see much of JJ in there if Cade starts. Maybe on some design run plays. Maybe on some plays where you're just confident that you know that JJ can do this and make this big play. Maybe design JJ in if Cade starts like they did against Ohio State, for example. They didn't put him in a whole lot. They rarely took out McNamara, but they did it very well. A few run plays, one pass play for McCarthy, and it did throw off Ohio State's defense. Good. It threw them off a little bit. So it's going to be intriguing to see how this QB battle works out. I think that McCarthy is going to start, and I think that if he has improved this preseason, if he's improved in spring ball, which he missed, but in fall workouts, if he's improved in fall camp, I believe he should and will start. But if McNamara starts, you will hear no complaining from me, because he is a fantastic young man, fantastic quarterback, a fantastic leader, and if he starts, all the support from me will be placed on him, because I trust the staff more than I trust opinions from myself and from my fans, because this staff is proven from last year. They know what they're doing. It's why they beat Ohio State. It's why they won the Big Ten. This Michigan staff knows what they're doing. Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy are both solid quarterbacks that make up a solid quarterback room. And that's all I have to say for this video. If you like this video, liked me talking about some questions regarding Michigan fall camp and the main talking point of the quarterback battle, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, comment your thoughts down on the quarterback battle down below, and make sure to hit the notification bell so you can see when I post new content. And if you're on Spotify, make sure to follow the channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.